Hey guys, well today what I thought I'd do is address a question that was posted on Facebook a while ago, and basically the gentleman said, if you don't have flint in your area, how can you tell if a rock, or what do you look for in a rock that may be able to provide a spark with your flint and steel kit, with your flint striker? So I live in an area that I've never found flint in. In southern Minnesota I've found flint, but not up by me. So I know a lot of people, they'll say, well, just go look for a rock that has a hardness greater than 7. Okay, how do you know if the rock has a hardness greater than 7? What do? Go ask it? You know, I don't know. I don't even know what hardness greater than 7 means. I mean, obviously it's a scale of some sort, but it's a hardness scale. But I mean, what does that really mean? For me, there's a lot of things out there that I don't know. There's a lot of plants that I don't know. There's just a ton of stuff I don't know. But I usually can struggle through a lot of it by looking at properties of stuff. Okay, properties of plants, properties of rocks. I know quartz will spark. I have quartz in my area. Sometimes it's hard to find a big chunk of it, and it's not going to spark as good as flint, but it will still spark. So I'm down here at the river. I usually have a lot of rocks down here at the river. So let's go take a look and see what kind of properties I look for when I'm looking for a rock that can maybe provide a spark for me. Alright, something I thought I'd show real quick. You know, I've been doing those long fire videos and stuff, and it's hard to carry logs of substantial size. This log's dead right there. Somehow, some way, I think I could maybe make a camp right here. You do pose a little bit of a risk because this is kind of a flood area, but only if it rains just, you know, like maybe 10 inches in one day. But anyway, that is a huge log. I could maybe build a fire under there. I think I can nurse that sucker darn near all night long. That's a big log. That's a nice one. Alright, here we've got some rocks around me here. Let's just pull this one up. I don't know if this was some guy's fire pit that he made or what. But here, looking at this rock, it's a little bit rough. Not too bad, but let's just check it out here real quick. Okay, it's a little bit rough. It's not real shiny. I don't see any nice facets carved out of it. You know, I mean, it's got a chip right there or whatever, but it's not really what I'm looking for. I think this is the same kind of rock. Let's just check it out real quick. Be careful when you're doing this, guys. Oh. Okay, and that was out of frame, sorry about that. I barely touched that rock and that rock came apart. I was going to really smash it. That's not what I'm looking for. That almost looks like it's got a little copper or something in it. But anyway, that's not what I'm looking for. It just doesn't have the properties of what I want. Once again, kind of rough. Got these little silver flakes in there. I'm not sure if this is granite. Like I said, I don't know the names of it, but you know, I could see where this may be something to sharpen your knife on, maybe, but it's not going to give you a spark, or a very good one anyway. Okay guys, I thought at first this might work, but all we can do is just try. You know, this is not exactly what I was looking for. It's a little rougher than what I wanted. I want like a smooth glass-like type stone. This one I think might work. Okay, it's got some nice smoothness to it. Well, you know, we can just only one way to find out. Now be real careful when you do this, guys. When I throw this rock down, I'm gonna close my eyes or turn my head, whatever. You don't want a rock shard right in your eyeball. I can kind of tell by the way it's a hard rock, but I can kind of tell by the way it's breaking. It's not faceting. That is rough right there. I still want to break this a little bit more and see what happens. Okay, I broke several different rocks here. That big one that was giving me a hard time, there it is. This did not break like what I wanted it to. I'm not finding the rocks that I'm accustomed to finding down here. The water's a little high. I don't know if they're maybe closer to in the water. There's another one here. It does have a nice sharp edge. It would definitely be something that you could use as a tool. I'm going to hold on to this. I think this will spark, but I don't think it'll be a very good spark. That's the same rock. if this would have been smooth on the inside, that's how I would have known it would have been good. I'm going to save that one too, just in case. I'm just not finding what I was looking for. Let's keep walking here. Okay, so here's that red one. Smooth on the outside. Whoops, smooth on the outside. I wish it were smoother on the inside. It's not. So let's just see if it strikes a spark. Not sure if you guys are seeing that or not. Very poor sparks. It is throwing some sparks. Okay. See if we can get some char cloth on fire with it. So there we got our char cloth on fire. It doesn't want to go out. Alright, so there's that rock. Let's check out this rock. That's throwing some sparks. Not the greatest, but it's throwing them. Let's check out the char cloth. Not as good a quality sparks as Flint, but you can still do it. And these rocks don't even have the 100% of the properties I was looking for. Let's go look down by the creek and see if we can't find something that, by looking at, I can for sure tell if it's going to spark. Okay guys, so here's some examples of some rocks that I am really sure that I can get to spark. Okay, this is a piece of Ohio flint that I purchased. If you study a piece of real flint or obsidian, obsidian doesn't spark very well, but it still has almost the same characteristics as flint. So if you have obsidian, you can study those characteristics besides the fact that it's too brittle. But basically that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a smoothish type stone that when you break it, facets break off. Nice, smooth facets. Look at all these little chips. They don't break off in rough edges. It's imagine an arrowhead with all the different facets that's on it. That's what you're looking for. A sharp edge. This rock is brittle, but it's hard brittle. Like a stainless steel knife. If you put it in a vise, you'll snap it. That's what this is like. Okay? It's, on one end you would have sandstone that just kind of crumbles, or if you imagine a granite that's, just real rough and stuff like that. So anyway, here's a nice, smooth stone. Once in a while in my area, I will find a black stone that's even better than this. But, it's just smooth, polished, kind of. I know, and it's, obviously it's hard enough where I can't break it with my fingers. But even if I took another hammerstone or something, it's going to be hard to break this rock. Nice, smooth stone. This has the characteristics of a rock that will spark very nicely. This one's a little rougher, okay, but it still has some of the characteristics. This break right here, I can kind of tell there's a little bitty facet right there. I'm pretty sure this one will spark for me. I think this is that same rock that we used at the river. Similar rock, not the exact same one. Another rock. These may all be the same rocks, but they look a little bit different to me, Maybe they're the same one, but they basically all have the same characteristics. Now you guys know what this is, right? The problem is usually the ones I find are pretty small. These are all quartz, and quartz has different qualities or different quality about it. Some of it's real brittle. These are pretty good samples right here, but once again, they're pretty small. Here's a rock. I know I can, or I'm really sure I can get this to spark. Let me process a couple of these rocks down. I'm actually going to take this rock and just caveman a couple of these and break them. The quartz I'm not going to try because I know it's going to work. But let me break these down, and then we'll go into the garage where it's nice and dark and just kind of prove our theory. Another method to determine if you've got a nice good rock is how hard it is for you to break. These were not easy to break. I put a hammer stone, I put a stone underneath them and then smashed them down with another rock. They're not easy to break. Okay, this is kind of a shear break. See that? Nice sharp edge. Not ideal, but I believe it'll still work. Not real well, but it's working. Not real well at all. There's a few. See if the other end does better. This one was actually the easiest one to break. As soon as it broke, I was wondering about it. Not very good at all. This one was pretty difficult to break. I'm pretty sure this one's going to work. See the sparks there? Kind of broke in a facet. This one did break, kind of. I thought it would work, but it broke so easy that as soon as I broke it, I was like, ooh, I think I made a mistake on that one. But that one, this one was kind of a pain to break as well. Lots of sparks flying off of that. Hopefully you guys are seeing that. Look at that. That's almost as good as flint. The edge will wear down faster though than real flint. Here's one. I don't remember which one this one came off of, but it looks like it's got some nice sharp edges. Tiny, but works a little bit. Let's see how this one does. A little bit, not the greatest. So even poor quality rocks will still work. Let's see how this monstrosity works. That's the same rock. Just got to find a better edge. All right. Okay guys, well I hope that answered maybe some questions that you might have. The rocks that I found were actually quite poor examples of what I was trying to show you. You want them to be shiny, smooth, with facets broken in them, or when they break, they facet off just like real flint. And really the only way you can tell is just to go out there and bang some rocks together and see what works for you. Every once in a while, like that one I had, it broke right away. It's not as hard as what it needed to be, but basically you're just looking for characteristics, just looking for properties. If you don't have flint in your area, usually you do, unless you don't have rocks, you'll generally come across a rock that will work for you in a pinch. One of the rocks that my daughter's kind of an amateur geologist or whatever, I've picked up a couple of rocks that have actually worked decent for me. I'm pretty sure they're called jasper. I'm not sure if you have that in your area. Something, and I think it's probably a combination of quartz and stuff like that, but agates, obviously you're not going to want to bust out agates, but they have the same, or you're not going to want to bust them up or whatever, but they have the same properties of what we're looking for. Anyway, alright guys, I hope you liked this video. Take care.